Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another tier list video on the channel today. Today we're going to be talking about fantasy wide receivers, putting them on my tier list. As you guys can see, I have the categories up here. I'm going to be explaining each receiver as I go along. Now, like I say, for all my fantasy videos, I'm following a dynasty PPR format. So if your league isn't the same, then, adjust accordingly. But age does play a factor. How many balls you catch, receptions matter. So those are two important categories for me when ranking this list. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And if you guys are enjoying more tier list videos, let me know in the comments. Also know where you would put these guys down below. We're going to start with Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams, I'm going to put him in stud just because it's Devonte Adams. But honestly, I'm very worried about his situation in Oakland now. Derek Carr left. I don't love Jimmy Garoppolo, and if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down for whatever reason, Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell isn't great. They also signed Jacoby Myers, who I think will steal some targets away from Devonte Adams, but at the end of the day, it's still Devonte Adams. I still think he's going to have a productive season no matter what goes on around him, but he's not, I think, the same guy that he was in Green Bay or even last year with Derek Carr. A.J. Brown is awesome. I'm gonna put him in studs just for a second, and then I'll maybe recalibrate a little bit. But A.J. Brown had a great first season with the Eagles last year. Him and Jalen Hurts formed an immediate connection. They were awesome, especially that game against the Titans. I mean, it was like a man playing against boys. You know what I'm saying? So A.J. Brown was awesome. I think he'll only get better in the Eagles' offense. He's got great yak ability. He's got great deep ball connection with Jalen Hurts. I really like A.J. Brown. I think, obviously that offense is going to run the ball. And they do have two really good other receiving options in Dallas Goedert and Devonte Smith, who we'll talk about later. But I'm not going to take too much away from A.J. Brown. I still think he's really, really good. I'm going to put Amon-Ra St. Brown at the edge of potential just because with the Jameson Williams suspension for 6 games, I think that does open the door for a lot more targets. But I'm not as high on some people as some people are on Amon-Ra St. Brown, to be honest with you. I understand that he's a great route runner and he's going to catch a lot of passes. But I just don't know with all the other weapons that the Lions added if he's going to be a staple of the offense for years to come. I still think that he'll be really, really good, but I'll have to see this season. But I still think he's going to be a stud for fantasy. Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has been in this category for many years, but I think now he's got the best coach of his career in Sean Payton. Hopefully Russell Wilson can bounce back. And realistically, I don't think that Broncos receiving room is very good, right? Courtland Sutton is his biggest competitor there, and I'm not a big Courtland Sutton guy. So I would say that Jerry Jeudy has lots of potential. If you guys remember him coming out of the draft of Alabama, he was the best route runner. He was this, he was that. And he's never truly shown the potential that he had coming out of Alabama. Hopefully this year he can put it together. Keep in mind, Sean Payton was the coach for Michael Thomas when he set the receptions record. So Jerry Jeudy definitely has an opportunity with hopefully better quarterback and a really good coach to finally fulfill his potential in fantasy football. Garrett Wilson. I'm also going to put Garrett Wilson in stud. I'm going to put him right below A.J. Brown. He is very young. He's getting Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the best thing that's happened to him so far. He was productive last year with 3 of the statistically worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I can only imagine what he's going to do with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be MVP Aaron Rodgers, but even any form of Aaron Rodgers is better than whatever quarterback the Jets were going to trot out from last season. Garrett Wilson is going to be awesome this year. He's young. He had amazing yards after catch ability. I mean, it was insane. And I think that he's going to be more productive now that the Jets are actually on the field more. He's going to score more touchdowns. And like I said, he's young. So I think my biggest regret from my fantasy season last year was trading away Garrett Wilson very early on in the year. That was not a very smart move on my end. But it's okay. We live and we learn. Cooper Kupp. I'm tempted to put Cooper Kupp in league winner just because he's been such a... Yeah, I'm going to put Cooper Kupp in league winner. Here's the problem, though. Cooper Kupp, his quarterback situation is a little goofy right now. Matthew Stafford, if healthy, I think he'll be fine with Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford did deal with some injury stuff last year. There's been reports of some neck stuff, some elbow stuff, some back stuff. Stafford's getting older, right? Stafford's getting older. So if Stafford is good to go, I think he's obviously a league winner, and I would take him, in a top 10 pick pretty easily in a dynasty draft. But if he's going to be, rocking with Stetson Bennett maybe, or Bryce Perkins, I think was the guy from last year, then, it's a little bit more iffy, but I still think that Cooper Kupp is going to be Cooper Kupp. The only reason he wasn't last year is because he got hurt for half the year. And, that shit happens. You get hurt sometimes. But Cooper Kupp is still a monster. He's coming off of a recent Offensive Player of the Year season. There's no reason to sell Cooper Kupp to a dramatic degree. Maybe he'll drop off a little bit from being a top, 2-3 guy, but I really don't think he's going to fall that far down. Another stud is going to be CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to put him above Devonte Adams. Brandon Cooks coming into Dallas, I think will help him actually. It'll take a lot of the pressure away from him, and it'll allow him to play his game and not be the only legitimate wide receiver that Dak Prescott can throw to. CeeDee Lamb has been good ever since. He has been what Jerry Jeudy hasn't. Remember, they came out in the same draft. There was a lot of debate of it. Was it Jerry Jeudy? Was it CeeDee Lamb? And at this point, it's pretty clear that it was CeeDee Lamb. He's been awesome in Dallas. He's been really, really good. Everything is advertised, and I think that he's going to have another productive thing. I really only think he's like 24. So he's going to have another productive season. He's going to be good. We'll be good to go. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'm going to put him in spot starter because there's going to be 1 week of the year where Patrick Mahomes goes off for like 500 yards and Marquez Valdez has like 200 of them. Is he a consistent starter? Is he a guy that I want to plug and play in my lineup every week? No. If you're in a league where they do best ball, like where they take the best total of your team, he might be a good option to have. He might be a good pickup, but Marcus Valdez-Scantling, he's going to be a weird start-sit decision every week, and it's just going to be one of those things where some weeks he's going to have like 12 yards, the other week he's going to have like 120 and 2 tuds. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just going to be weird. We also don't know how the receiver depth chart is going to shake out in Kansas City, so we'll have to see, but I'm going to put him in spot starter for now. Stephon Diggs, I'm going to put right behind CeeDee Lamb. He's still the guy in Buffalo. I know Dalton Kincaid went in the first round, and I know there's some contentious points, quote unquote, with him in Buffalo right now. He's still the guy. He's been that guy ever since he got to Buffalo. Him and Josh Allen have been incredible together, and I would seriously, be surprised if there was any major regression from him and the Bills. Obviously, barring injuries, he is getting a bit older, so you might start to see production decline in the next couple of seasons, but in 2023, and I think for 2024 as well, he's still going to be a really, really good receiver for the Bills. Deebo Samuel, I'm going to also put him in potential. Deebo Samuel had a great year a couple years ago, hasn't been that same guy, and I think the 49ers' weapons around him are so fruitful that it's going to be hard for him to make a serious fantasy dent in 2023 and beyond. I think he's going to get beat up a little bit with the style that he plays. He plays scat back, he plays running back, he plays receiver. Fuck, they might even throw him at tight end if George Kittle got hurt. His style of play is interesting. It's high risk, high reward type of play, and right now I'm leaning more towards the risk part of it. Don't get me wrong, he does still have potential. His versatility is still great. He is still in a Kyle Shanahan offense, but I don't know if that reward outweighs the risk at this point in his career. So we'll have to see. Drake London is another potential guy. I'm gonna throw him in front of Deebo Samuel just because of the age. But the big thing right now is just, is Desmond Ritter that guy? Can he feed him the ball? And they're going to be a run-heavy team with Bijan Robinson. We kind of all know that, right? So I think Drake London's good. He's obviously very young. But Desmond Ritter is a big question mark to me, so that's why I'll put him in potential. Mike Williams, he's also a guy with potential. Problem is injuries just consistently play a role with him. He's not very often is he going to play, a full 17-game season. Add to that fact, new incoming first-round pick Quentin Johnson is probably going to steal some of his mojo. But I do like the move to offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. I don't know why Dallas Cowboys fans hate him. He's a really good offensive coordinator. I think if he can stay healthy, that'll open up the door for him. So he does have a lot of potential this year and beyond for Mike Williams. He's still not that old, right? But it'll be there, right? DK Metcalf. I'm going to put DK Metcalf in potential. Now, I'm actually lower on DK Metcalf than a lot of people, which might surprise you because A, I'm a Seahawks fan, and B, I'm literally wearing a DK Metcalf shirt right now. But DK Metcalf, I'm lower on him than a lot of people. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett are going to get significant volume, and he's going to not get crowded in that receiver room, but he's not going to be the feature in the passing attack, right? We all know Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. He drafted a running back in the second round. He's going to do so, right? Back-to-back years, he drafted a running back in the second round, so they're going to do so. And I think that DK Metcalf in a PPR format is not going to be the best type of guy, but I think he will have games where he has high yardage totals and he will score a decent amount of touchdowns. So if you're cool with, waiting on DK Metcalf to have big games, I think then that's the route to go. But I'm not a guy that's really going to bank on DK Metcalf week in and week out to put up like 20-some points. Um, DeAndre Hopkins, right? I'm going to put DeAndre Hopkins in the top of spot starter. As of right now, we don't know where DeAndre Hopkins is going to land. It's looking like, he made visits with New England. It's looking like Tennessee might be an option. I've always theorized the Browns would be a good option. But as of right now, we don't know, so that's kind of why he's there. Additionally, he's probably not going to be a wide receiver one on many teams. And if he would be, that's probably not a team with a great quarterback. So that situationally also doesn't, help him out. He, is coming off a couple injuries, so we'll have to see. But I still have faith that DeAndre Hopkins can be a decent starter, but he's not the D-Hop that he was in years past. All right, coming up next, we have Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill last year set records for his entire career, receptions, yards, touchdowns, all of that stuff. He was awesome. If Tua could stay healthy, he might have been an Offensive Player of the Year contention. Both of them actually might have been Offensive Player of the Year contention. Tyreek Hill's awesome. He is 29, so he is, a little bit older. But you cannot mistake how good he was last year. You just can't get rid of that. He was amazing, and I think that he'll continue to be. I don't think he's going to really lose a step with his speed, and he's going to be awesome. He's going to be really, really good. So there you go. Jalen Waddle, I think, is another stud. I'm going to put him above Devonte Adams, again, because of that age and because of the fact that he is in a really good offense with a good quarterback and with a good head coach, two things that Devonte Adams doesn't have at the moment. Jalen Waddle, again, is basically just a clone of Tyreek Hill. He's just fast as fuck. It's just hard for anybody to catch him. And especially with, Tyreek Hill playing the other side, you can't put your best corner on Jalen Waddle. You know what I'm saying? You can't play press coverage against the Dolphins wide receivers. So that makes life a lot easier for these guys, and I think it makes life easier for Tua as well. Devonte Smith is also a stud. I'm going to probably throw him. I hate to keep doing Devonte Adams dirty, but just because of the age thing, Devonte Smith goes up ahead of Devonte Adams. Again, like I mentioned with A.J. Brown, great quarterback. I like the system that they run in Philly. We'll see with Shane Steichen how much it affects them, but I think a lot of that is just the players and the scheme. He is in that offense with Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown, obviously, but I'm very confident that he'll have another year. He, was more of a PPR guy, so he's more of a receptions-based guy. Think of like a prime, Tyler Lockett type of receiver, where he's probably not going to score a whole bunch of touchdowns, but he's going to run great routes. He's got good hands. He's going to catch a lot of passes. So that's that for Devonte Smith. So I'll put him in stud. JaMarr Chase is going to go up into league winners. I'm going to put him first because he is young, obviously. And I think that he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's top, 2 with Jefferson. You can put him in whichever order you want. It's pretty obvious to me that that's the top 2. He's got Joe Burrow, great quarterback. T. Higgins is, his Robin to his Batman. So that might steal a little bit, but I really don't think that JaMarr Chase is going to take too much of a hit. He did miss some of last season with an injury, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But to me, that doesn't matter. I think JaMarr Chase is still up there as number 1. His buddy, his partner in crime, T. Higgins, I'm going to put just below Devonte Adams because I think he's more of that, prototypical DK receiver where I mentioned with DK where he's probably not going to catch a whole lot of passes, but he will have big plays. He will have big yardage. He'll score some touchdowns. The reason I'll put him above DK is because of better potential at quarterback. And by the way, I am going to move DK up in front of Jerry Jeudy and in front of Drake London, just so we're clear. Justin Jefferson, I don't need to elaborate. Treylon Burks, I'm going to put Treylon Burks in mid just because last year I wasn't too impressed with Treylon Burks, and their quarterback situation right now is disgusting. They don't have a lot of competition at receiver, which is good for them. But again, they're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry, so they're going to be I have an eyelash. They're going to be a run-heavy team with not a good quarterback. Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis. Not really sure who's going to start the majority of games there. And because of as such, I'm going to put him in mid. He's probably not going to be a really good receiver next year. Same thing with Chris Godwin. I know a lot of people are high on Chris Godwin. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move Chris Godwin up here and move Marcus Valdez Scantling down one. Chris Godwin has been a productive receiver throughout his career, yes, but that has been with Jameis Winston, who wasn't a great quarterback, but he was always, putting up big numbers. And then Tom Brady, right? Now he's transitioning to Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, which is like transitioning from a house in the hills to, a trailer park, right? It's not great. So I worry a lot about his quarterback spot. He's also got Mike Evans on the opposite side of him. Um, Baker Mayfield is notorious wide receiver one killer. Remember what he did to Odell a few years ago. So not too excited for what Chris Godwin's going to do in fantasy. So next on the tier list, we have Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton, I'm going to put in mid. I don't love him, right? I don't love Daniel Jones a whole lot. I think that if they're going to want to run the ball through Saquon, and that's how they're going to go with their offense. Additionally, they signed some guys in the offseason. They signed Paris Campbell. They traded for Darren Waller. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. So I think, not great quarterback play, plus a run-heavy offense, plus, probably not the best receiver on his team. I'll put him in mid. I'm not super high on Darius Slayton this year. Zay Flowers has potential for the future. I'll put him like right there. Zay Flowers definitely has potential for the future. I think that he is a guy that's going to be maybe, shafted a little bit this year with Odell being there. But in a year or two, he'll emerge as one of the Ravens' best receivers, if not the best receiver for the Ravens. And so I think that he'll be really, really good. Odell Beckham, to me, is also a spot starter. Odell Beckham's older, and he is coming off that ACL the last time he played, right? So we have to keep injuries in mind. But the Ravens have been a run-heavy team notoriously in Lamar's tenure. Now they have a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monk, and I understand they want to push the ball vertically more. But we'll see, how much playing time Odell gets, if he's more of a great backup or if he is a legitimate week in and week out starter. I don't know. Again, they probably will want to give playing time to Zay Flowers, so it's going to depend. Can Odell, consistently be productive? That's the biggest question. I don't know. So for right now, he's going to be put in spot starter. Terry McLaurin has a lot of potential. I'm going to put him right next to DK because I think a lot of it hinges on Sam Howell. I am big on Sam Howell. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but again, we don't know, right? He started one game, so we just don't know yet. We'll have to see. But that's what it's going to be for Terry McLaurin. If Sam Howell's good, I think that he'll be fine, right? Deontay Johnson, I'm going to put Deontay Johnson in potential right by Drake London. Thing is, I'm not big on Kenny Pickett, but he also has George Pickens opposite him, who I think is going to take a big leap in year 2. They also beefed up the offensive line. Why? So they can run the football with Najee Harris. And I think Deontay Johnson, he's just kind of always struggled with drops. You know what I mean? Like, that's been a very frustrating aspect of his game. So we'll have to see. But I think Deontay Johnson is still young, and he's still a pretty damn good receiver. Amari Cooper, I'm going to put in spot starter. And the reason for that is because he's a little bit older, which he had a very productive year last year, to be fair, with Jacoby Brissett. Deshaun Watson coming in, hopefully they can form a bond and they can be good together. And Deshaun Watson could play like Deshaun Watson in years past. But I'm going to hold off on calling him, really, really good. Like I said, how many more years does he have in the tank? That's a question mark. And then can he replicate a season from last year, which was a pretty, a big outlier for him with Deshaun Watson. Next, we have Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, to me, he's got potential, obviously, because he's young, but I think he's definitely stuck behind Justin Jefferson at the moment. And add to that fact that Kirk Cousins might not be a Viking next season, right? We're going to have to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to speculate too much on that, but there are some pretty reputable people saying that Kirk Cousins will not be a Minnesota Viking for the next whole calendar year. Whatever. Christian Watson obviously has potential. I'm going to put him right here next to Terry McLaurin. Christian Watson had a great second half of the season last year. He really burst onto the scene. He had electric speed, scored a bunch of touchdowns. Now, that was with Aaron Rodgers, so we'll have to see what he does with Jordan Love. But I think even if Jordan Love is subpar or if he's like mid, he's going to look to Christian Watson, who is the most established receiver in that Packers room at the moment, right? It's not Romeo Doubs, it's not any of these other guys. Christian Watson has the most potential out of the Packers receiving rooms, and I think Jordan Love will look to him to be his wide receiver one. DJ Moore is another guy that I really, really like. I'm going to put him next to Judy right here. He has been a 1,000-yard receiver every single season with Carolina, subpar quarterback play. Now he's going to come into Chicago, who a lot of people think Justin Fields is going to make that big leap. I think DJ Moore will be productive no matter what, and I think he's a really good get. The Bears are going to keep him for a long time, I would imagine as well. If they traded the first overall pick for him, so they're going to keep him. Christian Kirk. I'm going to go ahead and do this a favor right here. I'm going to throw Christian Kirk right here, and I'm going to go ahead and throw Calvin Ridley right here. They belong in the same spot because I love their situation with Trevor Lawrence. Now, the receiver room's a little packed with the three of them, including Zay Jones and Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne, who's going to be a part of the passing game. But Trevor Lawrence is awesome. Doug Peterson is awesome. Calvin Ridley, the last time he played real football, was like a top 5 receiver in PPR. Now he's been out of the league for a couple years. Christian Kirk had a very, very productive year last year with Jacksonville. Awesome. I'm putting them in the same spot. They're in the same team. I think they're going to put up very similar numbers as well. Robert Woods. Yeah, Robert Woods is I'm tempted to say mid. Yeah, I'm going to put him in mid, and that's simply because he's old to me, and he's probably doesn't have a whole lot left in the tank. I do think that he's going to get thrown to a lot by C.J. Stroud early on. But, with Nico Collins there, with the other guy they drafted, Tank Dell there, to me it doesn't seem like he's going to get much, production for much longer. Adam Thielen. I don't throw Adam Thielen down here. I think Adam Thielen's kind of cooked, to be honest with you. And Bryce Young has better receivers. DJ Chark, Jonathan Mingo. The receivers aren't great, but Adam Thielen is at most going to be like a one-year guy. I really don't have a lot of confidence in him. Chris Olave is definitely a stud, I think. He's going to be put up ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was great last year with New Orleans. Now the receiver room is a little packed, but big quarterback upgrade. I don't know if Mike Thomas is going to be Mike Thomas or if he's going to not play another season. Who knows? Which is why I'm going to put Mike Thomas, at spot starter ahead of Amari Cooper. But we'll have to see where that goes. These two guys I'm also going to put in the same spot. Quentin Johnson I'm going to put right here. And Jackson Smith-Njigba I'm going to put right there. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be a PPR demon. I'm telling you, he is going to steal a whole bunch of volume in that Seahawks offense. And then Quentin Johnson, he's going into an offense with Justin Herbert, a guy who I think their skill sets match each other perfectly. New offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, I think is going to be able to get the most out of him because remember the last high-profile receiver that Kellen Moore had his hands on was CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was awesome. Quentin Johnson, I think, will be awesome as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all it is to say. And plus, obviously, they're both young, so they have much potential going forward. Juju Smith-Schuster is the definition of mid, in my opinion. The Patriots, they are not going to be a fun offense, and leaving Patrick Mahomes was, I think, probably the worst decision he made. I understand he got his bag. Good for you, bro. But at the same time, Mac Jones to Patrick Mahomes, going from Patrick Mahomes to Mac Jones is the biggest downgrade you could possibly do. You know what I'm saying? So, Michael Pittman, I mean, he's a decent spot starter. I don't think he's anything crazy. Anthony Richardson is going to struggle throwing the ball early on, I think. And Alec Pierce, I think, a little bit better. But they're going to want to run the ball, and they're going to want to, teach Anthony Richardson the ropes early. Keenan Allen, unfortunately, I think is dog water. I think he's getting old and injured, and I don't think he fits in the new offense. Mike Evans is, kind of mid as well. I'm going to put him above here just because, like I said, with Chris Godwin, bad quarterback play. So this is my tier list right here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear what your opinions are. I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video or Wednesday's video, whenever it's posted. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.